Hey y'all, welcome back to this week's episode of AMA Friday with Amy Miller, Recruiting and Yoga Pants. All right. I've said this before. Just going to put it out there. Now more than ever, I am seriously in the market for a goat farm. My husband has threatened for many years that when our children had children, they were going to get goats. And many of you know, we have a grandbaby now. Got to get that baby a goat. And also, more importantly, we got to get Grammy off the internet because I'm about to lose my mind. I'm so mad at recruiters this week. I just want to go around slapping people. I'm just losing it. So help me make my husband's dream come true of blessing our grandchildren with goats and get me off the internet. Thank you. All right. On to your regularly scheduled programming. AMA Friday. All right, friends. We're going to talk about resume formatting. I already have 20, I thought it was 19, I forgot to add one, so it's actually 20 videos on the All About Resumes playlist on the channel, and I have covered just about everything, I think. I don't know. Let me know. What am I missing? What do we need to talk about next after this week? Let me know. We'll get to it, okay? But I've covered it all. I've covered, obviously how an ATS reads, looks at, parses, whatever, resumes. I've talked about Word versus PDF. Oh, that came up again today. So now I know better and I have whiplash. I can only imagine what people who do not live this for, all the time, if you don't do this for a living, you're probably even more confused than me, because on the one hand, we have the guy who is trying to convince everyone that he's speaking for every recruiter everywhere. That's what he said. Every recruiter everywhere says never, ever, ever use a PDF. And then over here, we have some chick that I stitched on TikTok. This has been a while back now, probably a couple years, who said never, ever, ever use Word because you look unprofessional. Which is it? Can these two get in a room and hash it out and tell the rest of us what we're supposed to be doing? Can we try that? Because y'all got me messed up. And I know you're both full of it. So that's the fun part, right? I know better than to believe any of this nonsense. But the average job seeker, I wouldn't expect you to know. I would not expect your BS detector to be as strong as mine when it comes to job search content. Just like I don't know anything about your industry. If you told me, hey, this is how finance works, I'd be like, really? I had no idea. That sounds crazy, but okay, if you say so. Because I expect that you're a professional and you're not going to lie to me. I'm too naive for this world sometimes. Anyway, format. Let's talk about format. Let's get to the important stuff here this week. So what really sparked this debate for me was a gentleman who is a self-proclaimed career expert who said, I'm not even going to paraphrase it. I'm going to read you what he said. Let me find it. Hopefully it's not too far away. I think I can find it quickly. All right. Exact words this gentleman used in his post were, there it is. I reject CVs with no white space. I don't care how experienced you are. If your CV is hard to read, it's going straight into the no pile. He goes on to say some other stuff. Okay. Believe it or not, You're not the only perfect match for the vacancy I'm working on. So we now have the luxury of rejecting perfect matches because we didn't have enough white space? I refuse to believe that's a serious post. I refuse. I am now protecting myself by absolutely sticking my head in the sand, singing the La La song, putting my fingers in my ears, and convincing myself that that is not a serious post. It's the only way I'm going to cope. Do I think that there is a valid discussion to be had about formatting? Yes. And that's what we're going to talk about. I do not believe that recruiters should be so obtuse as to make blanket statements about binning a resume because it was hard for me to read. Anywho. So what is a good resume format? Well, for God's sakes, don't ask a bunch of recruiters because you're going to get like 11 billion different answers. But I'm going to tell you what I think anyway. Oh, I am well aware of the irony, okay? Calm down. I don't need your snarky comments. I think the resume has a single purpose. The goal of the resume is to secure an invitation to learn more about you. That's it. It's not to get an offer. It's not to land a job. It's to get a recruiter interested enough that they want to pick up the phone or send you an email and learn more. They want to recognize something well enough that they're willing to forward that resume to their hiring manager for a final decision or a most important yes, right? Who really cares what the recruiter thinks? It's really the hiring manager we need to impress. There is an argument to be made for a clear, clean, appropriate use of white space, appropriate use of bullets, decent font size resume format. I am all about that. Okay? So here's what I would recommend. Bolding certain words. I like to bold on mine. I bold the title, right? So I worked at this company for these dates in this location. My title is bolded. And then I have, my handful of bullet points beneath it or whatever. My resume is actually on LinkedIn, in case you were curious. So if you want to see it, it's under my featured post on my LinkedIn profile. You can see my actual resume. Don't be one of those people that says, well, you only got that job because of the job you had before. Well, how did I get that one then, Chad? Anyway, clean, simple. I like my resume. I think it's nice. It's not the best, but it gets the job done, thankfully. But that spacing, that font size, like that's what we're talking about here, right? As long as it's like easy to consume, it's fine. It's fine. These so-called experts out here talking crazy about, columns and margins and never use Comic Sans. I want to just put a resume in Comic Sans just to be difficult, honestly. And please send all emails, interview requests to my AOL.com email address. How about that? How about I really test the boundaries here? Okay, maybe don't do that. Because not every recruiter has a sense of humor like I do. I would call that person. I think that's hilarious. Anyway, point being, we can do what's within our power to make sure that we're creating an easy to consume resume. But please understand that content far outweighs font size or format. It just does. That is a hill I will die on. You can have the prettiest, most pristine, most beautifully golden ratio of resumes. If the content isn't there, I don't care. I am not impressed. I am not calling. Content, 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 but yes, in an hopefully relatively easy to digest way. So here's the thing. This is where I'm going to speak to my recruiter friends for just a moment, okay? I know some of you worry, like the PDF Word guy. We know what that's about. Agency. They want to slap their logo over your name so the employer that they're pitching you to can't contact you directly. I get it. Nice try. I get that we all want to put good resumes, good prospects, good leads in front of our hiring managers. Okay? So, recruiter friends, my advice to you, if you see a resume that has good detail, but maybe the format's a little wonky, or you've got a really picky hiring manager or something, step one, tell the hiring manager that writing a pretty resume is not an engineering trait, or whatever industry you might be recruiting for. That's where you should start. But if you don't have the intestinal fortitude for that conversation, have a conversation with your candidate. Hey, candidate, can we do some tweaking here? Love the context of your resume. You've got a clear, strong background here. You've accomplished a lot of great things in your field. Do you mind if I give you some pointers on how to just spruce up that formatting a little bit? We want to make sure that the hiring manager is not distracted by a lack of white space, a graphic, an unnecessary table, what have you. It is okay to have those conversations. And job seekers, if a recruiter is willing to have that conversation with you, again, write for the audience. Hopefully they know their audience and they know the things that are going to either trip up a hiring team or alleviate any potential concerns from that hiring team. It's okay to have those conversations. It's okay for us to talk about, hey, I know my business. I know what they're looking for. Let me help you put your best foot forward. That's not a bad thing. Job seekers, while I do want you to pay attention to this a little, a smidge, a bit, I don't want you to overthink it. Imagine that you're going to go buy a book. And most of us, I think, when we're in the mood for some good reading material, we may have an idea of what we're looking for. I'm definitely looking for fiction. I'm looking for something big. I want a big, thick book that, is very intellectually stimulating. It's science fiction. I want a big, meaty science fiction story with some action and some mystery, maybe a little horror, dribbled in. And we know that's what we're looking for. We're reading the back of the book. We're reading the inside flap. We're getting enough of a synopsis to say, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that sounds really interesting. I want to see how this plays out. That's your resume. I know when I am looking at the back of the book, trying to see what this book's about and if it's going to be interesting and something I want to buy, I don't care about the format. I'm reading the words. Now look, if the format was really squished or font was really tiny or, whatever, okay, it might be hard for me to read. Maybe I'll move on to the next book. I don't know. But generally speaking, I'm just going to skim that real quick. And, oh, dang, okay. Oh, and well, what happens next? Let me buy this. That's it. I'm not overthinking the white space. Okay. We are way over the 10 minutes I give myself. Just feeling a little ranty today. What can I say? I hope that helps y'all. I see these things and my heart just breaks for job seekers because this has got to be so frustrating for you guys. On behalf of my industry, I'm sorry that we suck so bad at some of this stuff. I really am. All right. So with that, my friends, thank you as always for tuning in. I'm going to go look for goat farms, and I will probably see you next week.